Hi everyone, my name is Udit, and today I'm going to be talking about the mobile app critique interview that typically comes up in Facebook's product designer on-site interview loop. This interview is also known as App Crit for short, and I'm going to cover three topics in the video today. Firstly, what's this interview all about and what is your interviewer looking for? Secondly, some tips on what to do in this interview to succeed. And thirdly, some tips of things not to do in this interview to avoid getting rejected. Quick introduction, I'm from Prepfully. We offer online anonymous mock interviews with Facebook product designers who can give you a real world experience, and we've been helping a lot of candidates, I might add, with a lot of success in getting their dream jobs at Facebook. You can also practice for free with other candidates who are in their interview journeys, and we've also got lots of other resources that I'll talk about later. Regarding the validity of this advice, it comes straight from the product designers at Facebook who've been helping candidates, but it also actually comes straight from Facebook since it's extracted from a guide that is shared with candidates who are currently interviewing at Facebook. Right, so let's dive straight into the app crit. Topic number one, what's this interview all about? In this interview, essentially you and your interviewer together choose an app on your device, your iOS or Android device, and you're going to critique it together. The goal of this interview is to assess if you can pick an app and critically analyze it, not just for its functionality, but from its design elements. So can you understand the thinking that went into these both visual and interaction design elements? And can you potentially figure out what can be done even better? App crits are done frequently internally within Facebook, within teams to help critique and assess what they've done and how they've done it and whether it can potentially be improved just through the power of more minds thinking about it. So your interviewer is essentially trying to assess if you can be comfortable in that environment of not just thinking about other apps that you might not have worked on yourself, but also in getting feedback and getting challenged and thinking about how you'd react to those challenges. Generally speaking, I would never recommend preparing just one app for this, because you're essentially going to be challenged across an app that you and your interviewer decide within the interview. But just generally come up with an approach to how you think about product design and visual and interaction design. So let's move to section 2, tips on what to do in this. Essentially, you're going to be leading your interviewer through a critique of both the strengths and the weaknesses of the app's design, or rather your perspective on an app's design. And you're not just going to be talking about the design, you're going to walk all the way through the product thinking that goes into who the user is and what their problem might be, to the execution of, to the solutioning of this problem through the visual and interaction design, but also the business implications of the design chosen and what the essential value proposition is that can help that app long term. The tips in that context then is one, be objective. Think about the app from all use cases, not just one particular user, unless of course you've agreed with your interviewer to focus on a particular user or a use case. Second, don't jump straight into the solution or straight into critiquing specific aspects of the visual design. Start all the way from the user through the problem that the app is trying to solve, and within the context of that, assess its success or failure thereof in solving a particular problem or a nuance of that problem. Third, get specific. So talk about specific angles of what makes the UI good or bad. Differentiate between Android and iOS patterns if you're aware of them. Discuss opportunities or new ideas on where you think the app can potentially do better, not just design specific ones, but also business specific ones or product specific ones on how these could potentially add value over time. Make sure to focus then on what's also poor about the app so that you can critique it and be critical about what they've done wrong or what you feel they could potentially do better. Make sure you also, if you're familiar with competitors, draw comparisons to them, because this shows maturity. It shows that you're not operating in isolation, that there are other folks with different approaches which might be equally valid, which you could learn from. And make sure to cover the flows, all the way from the user flows to the navigational flows to the overall experience that an average user would have for that app. Last part then is what to avoid. The first thing I recommend avoiding is to deep dive straight into relatively minor features that are going to be important further down, but just have no place in the first discussion of the product. So typography, fonts, graphics used, these need context to be explained. These need context to justify your thinking. So don't jump straight to these. Make sure there's a narrative that allows you to flow into these. Second, don't just have subjective opinions. So I don't think this is a great experience. It's not a good way to justify the thinking. I don't think this is a great experience because it doesn't solve this particular use case for this particular user, is a lot more contextual and gives background and thinking into why you don't dislike it. But also, don't just stop there. And that's the third tip. Move into what you would do differently and what the improvement areas could also be, so that you can highlight how you'd solve a particular problem that you've identified. Final thing to avoid is to go in without an approach or a structure in mind. There's a lot of ground you essentially need to cover in this interview. So it's best to think in advance of, okay, for this kind of app, I'm likely going to use this structure so that I cover all the critical elements from start to finish. Not only does it make sure that your interviewer gets value out of this because they're assessing across the entire flow and the entire gamut of topics that they want to cover, it also makes it easier for you to weave the story in and help build sufficient context that can help justify certain decisions or recommendations you make as part of this critique. That's all from me at Prepfully. I hope you found it useful. Again, if you think a mock with one of the Facebook product designers on our platform could be useful, feel free to book that. They've had hundreds of candidates, so you'll be in good hands and be receiving really good specific advice on what you're doing well, but what you can also do better. If you just want free practice with other candidates who are also in their interview journeys, you can also book that on our website. We've also got a question bank. We've got guides dealing with app crits, but Facebook product designer interview processes in general, also product designer processes for other companies. So these are all the free resources that I referenced at the start of the interview. I'm going to include links to all of these within the description. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If there are other topics you'd like me to cover or dig deep into, please feel free to mention that as well. Thanks and good luck.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Our website is prepfully.com. We've got lots of interview questions there. You can also schedule a mock interview with one of our experts. You can find the link in the description below. All the best from us at Prepfully, and we hope you totally rock your interview.